Toprak Razgatlıoğlu doesn't walk into MotoGP like a rookie. He walks in like a man who already buried one championship and is now looking for a new one to conquer. Yamaha thinks they are signing a rider. The grid thinks they are receiving a new challenger. But the paddock is too polite, too political, too domesticated to understand the animal they are letting inside their house. This is not a transfer. This is a force of nature, squeezing itself into a sport that still treats fear as a weakness instead of a weapon. Quartararo spent years at Yamaha, believing loyalty would be rewarded with horsepower. Rins arrived thinking adaptation was the price for salvation. But Toprak? He already lived through hell on the BMW and turned a dead machine into a 2-year torture device for Ducati and the rest of WSBK. His skill set is forged in brutality. His instinct is sharpened by chaos. His talent doesn't need a comfortable garage. It needs victims. The man arrives with V4 familiarity, a demolition-level braking style, and the psychological swagger of someone who resurrected a brand by force. Yamaha is expecting elevation. MotoGP is expecting turbulence. But they forget the truth. Storms don't join your system. They erase it. Lights fall heavy on the winter paddock. The wind shifts across the empty pit lane, and the world feels like it's holding a secret under its breath. Yamaha's garage glows blue, soft, innocent, almost hopeful. Then a figure steps through the doorway, and suddenly the blue doesn't look hopeful anymore. It looks scared. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu's arrival is not a handshake moment. It's a psychological earthquake. Everything that felt stable, predictable, explainable begins to shake. Mechanics whisper, will he adapt? Will he crash? Will the M1 handle his violence? Critics sharpen their knives. He'll fail like the others. He's not MotoGP material. SBK kings don't become GP legends. And Toprak hears all of it. He wears it like jet fuel. This is the moment motorcycle racing forgot how fear tastes. Because while the grid debates tire strategies and aerodynamic shortcomings, Toprak is remembering something the critics conveniently ignore. When he left Yamaha in 2022 saying, the bike has no speed. They mocked him. They dragged him. They laughed when he signed with BMW, calling it a retirement plan disguised as a career move. But fate loves humiliating experts. 2 straight World's BA titles later, BMW suddenly transformed from the slow bike to the executioner's chair. Ducati bled points. Riders broke mentally. Teams searched for excuses. And Toprak smiled. Because storms don't apologize for the destruction they cause. Now he returns to Yamaha not as a student, but as a man who already learned what happens when you give a starving animal horsepower. Yamaha thinks they chose him, but the truth is harsher. Toprak is the one choosing who he destroys next. Quartararo stands in the neighboring garage, staring at his legacy like it's a dying flame. All those years of loyalty, patience, forced optimism, endless development meetings. And yet the sport moved on without him. New names rose, new talents arrived, new legends began writing new stories. And here comes Toprak, not waiting, not begging, not fitting in, simply ripping open the doors and joining the conversation by force. MotoGP riders talk about Michelin windows, aero loads, tire management, precision craft. Toprak listens, then walks onto the track and brakes 20 meters later than physics recommends. Because physics is a guideline for others. For him, it's a polite suggestion. From Thai GP onward, nobody will be watching the front row without glancing at where the number 54 sits. Because pace? Adaptation? Toprak has been learning motorcycles the hard way since he was a kid, drifting bikes on wet tarmac. He doesn't memorize the limit. He kidnaps it. And the critics with their bitterness? They're already sharpening their predictions, ready to call him a failure before he completes turn 1. But critics hated Marc during his rise too. They hated Casey. They hated Stoner. They hated every rider who arrived to shatter tradition instead of protect it. Toprak is not entering a sport. He is entering a battlefield. And the only question that matters now is, who in this paddock is brave enough to stand in front of the storm? Comment your first reaction. Inside Yamaha's headquarters, the engineers whisper equations. Inside Quartararo's mind, doubts twist like cables. Inside Pramac's camp, The atmosphere thickens. They know this project is not about 2026. It's about 2027. It's about survival. It's about proving Yamaha made the right gamble on a man who rides like vengeance, sharpened into technique. But the critics, they aren't rooting for him. They're waiting for him to slip. They say, SBK braking doesn't work here. Michelin doesn't forgive improvisation. MotoGP requires precision, not madness. Bitterness disguises itself as expertise. Paddock veterans speak like priests guarding tradition. Commentators circle like vultures around a prediction they hope comes true. But inside Toprak's world, their doubts are background noise. Because while the Paddock debates his adaptability, he looks at the M1 with no romantic attachment. Yamaha sees a project. Toprak sees a weapon he is obligated to modify until it obeys him. He is not loyal to machines. He is loyal to winning. And Yamaha has not given anyone a reason to trust them in years, except now they have accidentally signed a man who punishes failure publicly. The difference between him and Quartararo is brutal. Quartararo endured Yamaha's decline with professionalism. Toprak endures nothing. If the M1 does not perform, the world will hear about it within 10 minutes. And here lies the real terror for Yamaha. They can't hide anymore. Toprak brings transparency. The Paddock is not ready for unfiltered feedback, public pressure, explosive expectations. When he pushes the front too far, he does it intentionally to understand the collapse point. When he rides wide, he's reading the bike's honesty. When he complains, it's not drama. It's the foundation of a rebellion. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu is not here to be a champion in year one. He is here to redefine what Yamaha demands from itself. For years, the factory hid behind polite development cycles, cautious evolution, endless excuses, and a culture built around loyalty. But Toprak doesn't like loyalty. He likes accountability. Yamaha cannot hide their failures behind PR scripts anymore because they signed a man who will set those scripts on fire during live interviews. Marc Marquez now has a rival with the same energy, someone who treats danger like a negotiable concept. Someone whose crashes are data acquisition sessions, someone who rides not to win, but to dominate. This is the first time Marc has seen a rider who mirrors his old reflection. Bezzecchi now has a predator haunting his rhythm. Acosta has a shadow testing the ceiling of his talent. Quartararo has an unavoidable reminder that loyalty never saved him. And Yamaha? For the first time in years, they have a rider who will force them into evolution, whether they're ready or not. If they fail him, the world will know. If they succeed, MotoGP will witness a generational clash between two forces physics can barely contain. Toprak is not MotoGP's future. He is MotoGP's reset button. The storm has arrived, and winter is already shaking the foundations of the sport. From now, where does this put them? The time will tell us. Comment below, subscribe for more savage breakdowns.